Kani kadai ka Batisi TV, bat pidang pet ya ka kubor baman kasni, belawan rashapi da ka umrupa, ringkat bat ka orange Nissan, lom sokpo near Fire Brigade Ground, Shillong.
New Nissan Kicks. Bookings open now.
Kakan hun jong ginong Trei Sngewbha kani ka jilla. Hakakhalai tarik moto benai kala lengkat arhaja kat khandai, kila Kyrpad ya ke yang bishar bah kledo jong kari India, ka Supreme Court, bahkan pensangya no mardor ya ke Jingtih Dewïong, hakani ka jilla Meghalaya. Namar ba kani ka penmentoy tangi ki katto ka ne ki hespa om ya ki long yeng long sam ki bodok basong kani ka jing dawa jong kani ka kanhon ki Riew Trei Sngewbha kalong hadin bala palat ba ka Kyrpad bala ai kerteng curse of unregulated coal mining in Meghalaya ya kani ka Kyrpad la palat ba hakani ka sngi ringkat ka jing sakhilang jong ka kong Agnes Kharsieng ka Amita Sangma ka kong Angela Rangan kong Patricia Mukhem bat uba Michael Sim bat kiwi kani ka kanhon lengba kani ka Kyrpad kala Kyrpad ya ka yeng bishar Supreme Court bahkan pediang ban bishar no ya kani ka Kyrpad hak katsan tarik mentau benai kala lengkon arajar kat khandai.
The citizens report to basically put together as much as we know about this whole coal mining in Meghalaya. And first and foremost, we must acknowledge the press also, because this report would have not been possible if there were no reports available online, electronic media, all of that, who actually, despite all the odds, have been trying to cover this coal issue and the coal ban from before 2014 also, but more so after 2014. So a lot of these annexures actually are press reports on, illegal coal trucks seized, this and that, and about the way bridges, this, that. A lot of it has actually come out from your reports. But in addition to the newspaper reports and electronic media footage, etc., which we have submitted to the court, the first volume depends a lot also on secondary material, which has been actually in-depth research papers by many people. There's the Northeast Social Research Center in Guwahati, the individual people who have done work on mining, etc. And we also depended heavily on the AG reports to understand the claims and counterclaims on the figures, which get thrown about, whether on how much money is coming or how much coal is left and how much this and that. Okay, so based on all that, and a whole chunk of it is also based on a lot of the RTIs which Kong Agnes has filed. If not for those RTIs, we won't even have the list of those coal miners. But Kong Agnes consistently had been filing RTIs, so all those official documents are available, and also other official documents like the affidavits which people declared during the elections, etc. Because when people say that many of our legislators and all are coal miners, how do we substantiate it? You just go to their declarations, you'll find. So So I think we'll just begin by giving you a gist of both Volume 1 and Volume 2. And Volume 1 deals mainly with this issue of how coal mining has actually meant land grabbing. It has actually meant undermining and destroying the 6th schedule principle and actually what the 6th schedule guarantees us, and how actually it has destroyed livelihoods. Coal mining has not in any way, especially in that district, helped the poor. It has exacerbated poverty and inequalities. So the first thing which we have to understand, is that consistently the state government keeps saying that Meghalaya is exempt from all central acts. The MMDR Act of 1957, they keep saying that because we are a 6th schedule area, we don't fall under any of the central acts. And that is a lie. It is a lie because all documents point to the fact that the Meghalaya government themselves admit that they fall under the MMDR Act. So the first document which we want to point you to is the Government of Meghalaya's own status report that they submitted to the Supreme Court, where they actually say that it is most respectfully submitted that both the MMDR Act and the CMN Act, which actually now has been repealed, are applicable in the state of Meghalaya without any exception. It is further submitted that no prior approval for mining rights in respect of area containing coal has been given under MMDR Act by Ministry of Coal, Government of India for the state of Meghalaya. But they admit that the Act is actually operational. Now, how is it operational? You know, after the NGT 2014 ban, there was a committee that was set up by the NGT, headed by then Chief Secretary, Additional Chief Secretary, Mr. Krofa. So this committee also again stresses on the same thing. It talks about how actually all the royalty which is being collected from coal in Meghalaya is actually not a royalty. They call it by many names, but actually it is a penalty being collected under Section 21 of the MMDR Act, okay, because they are violating the MMDR Act. So how can they now say that the MMDR Act does not apply to them? And they're creating this confusion constantly about 6th schedule and so MMDR is not there, etc. So that is one of the main things which I think we need to clarify, and the government also needs to clarify on this. Then now the other thing is that what the committee has found consistently is that there is absolute environmental degradation. We cannot deny, people can't say that no, it's okay, because very systematically they've listed each and every river and the pH level. It's Mintdu River, 7, which means it's acidic. So all these, if you look at all Cleriat M, all of them above 5 more. And so the Krofa committee also again talks about that. And now again the Katuki report also again stresses on that. Then again the Katuki report has even looked at NESAC data and real-time data. And if you look at the landscape of those pictures, they're holes. They're just holes in that area. And the funny thing is, for every square kilometer of area, there are 52 mines.
How many?
52 mines per square kilometer. Per square kilometer means smaller than like Umkra. There are 52 mines. Total of 24,626 mines. Yeah, this is just Jingtih Hills, no?
It's east.
Yeah, Jingtih Hills. Then this first volume of the report, we wanted the Supreme Court to understand that the claims being made by these coal miners, coal owners, about livelihood is not true, and also about this thing that it's being mined on private land. Number one, they keep trying to take exemption because 6th schedule. They keep saying it's private land. But if you look at the reports, which your newspapers and all have consistently reported, there was actually so much land grabbing. Community land was converted by force in many places with collusion of many institutions from GHEDC to revenue to everything. And consistently there were reports of villagers trying to oppose this land grab. Many people actually lost relatives also. There's that case of Katuka Samasi, which you all only reported. And then one of the headman's son, I think, got killed because he opposed this land grabbing of community land, So what has happened with actually coal mining is that there's extortion, there's land grabbing, there's criminality to establish this coal mafia raj, and that has been happening over a period of time. And when we keep saying collusion, We're saying this because it is not it's not so easy to grab community land unless, either your ilaka people are also together, then you get a pata from your district council. So all that is obviously that coal mining has benefited a few, and it's not what they are claiming. So the other thing of them saying that it should be, 6th schedule exempts is not true, because the 6th schedule has never said that it protects individual rights. Nowhere has the 6th schedule talked about private property and individual rights. The 6th schedule was imagined and created to ensure the rights of the many. In fact, it was like a contract we signed, that will the rights and the interests of those communities be protected, which means the majority. Will the communitarian resources be protected? But now they're using this very principle to actually push forward their own individual agenda. And that the Supreme Court, we really need the Supreme Court to understand that it's an abuse of the 6th schedule provisions. It's not that the 6th schedule provisions is allowing them to do this, It's like they've contorted the whole idea of the 6th schedule, We again want to draw your attention to that socio-economic caste census 2011, If they say that coal mining has benefited many, show me in hard statistics. How come there's so much landlessness in East Jingtih Hills? How come all the indices of development indices are all down? So it has not brought development. It has not actually helped livelihoods of anybody. 76% of the local tribal community are still landless. Even the community land has been taken away. A very important report during that time, December 29th, 2012, which we provide as an annexure, is a report about this almost battlefield-like situation in Briwar. I'm sure many of you know about that incident under Nongkle Ilaka, where people came out because these so-called ex-HNLC people were grabbing land in that area because they knew that it was rich in gold. And an interesting name also appears. The mob actually attacked two persons, one of whom was Nidamon Chulet, who is associated with the SHNLC. So that case already had thrown up this name before. Then now when the NGT came, NGT came in April 2014. If we try to understand this cycle of coal mining and all, it usually, much of the mining happens between September till March. Peak season are December to March, because once the rains start, they don't actually go and mine. Now the NGT thing came in April 2014, which means that much of the mining has been done, isn't it? Because then the ruling comes and says that you have to stop mining and we'll look at what coal you have, etc. And much of that coal actually that had been mined already in that peak season has already been transported also. They're not fools to be keeping things around like that. It's a proper supply chain, And yet when the NGT order came, now is the tricky part, because you will see the so-called coal. Now how much coal was really there? Everybody played up with the numbers. So
no, but we should go by those official figures.
Yeah. We're coming to that, the complicated part. But before we go to that, again I just want to point you to even before the ban, we relied on CAG reports of 2013, 2014 to try and look at how much really revenue comes to the state for coal. And all these reports point to the fact that there is more leakage than what comes in. In fact, in 2014 CAG report, no, this is March 2014, so before the ban, there was a revenue loss of 959.26 crores. 959.26 crores. How was this loss? They pointed out clearly how was this loss. Number one, 3 transport department checkposts failed to detect overloading of 218,752 metric tons of coal, leading to a non-realization of fine of 21.88 crores. DMR failed to take action against 138 coal exporters who had exported coal to Bangladesh without payment of royalty through Bagmara, Gasaupara, Dalu, resulting in non-realization of revenue amounting to 3.13 crores. This was before the ban, no, the leakage. So this claim, that it is our main economic mainstay, it's not true, because it is an economic mainstay for a few people and a few families, and the state is actually losing its environment. We have to deal with criminality, we have to deal with acidic water. Interestingly, first and foremost, most people made false declarations. All the mine owners, there's a list, you'll see how much they declared. Some of them over declared. Some of them under declared, thinking that we'll under declare so that we can transport much more and not have to pay the royalty, etc. So he actually points out in the report that there is malified intention of all these false declarations. So what we're going to do is we will collect royalty on the declared coal if it is higher, because you falsely declared. But what will be allowed to be transported is only the assessed coal. Okay. And that committee report should be taken as the baseline data of how much coal was left, isn't it? And that was 65,81,147 metric ton. The miners and transporters declared 120, 94, 634, 120 lakhs 94,634 metric ton, double of what was actually assessed. So this also, you can actually see more from here what was declared, what was the amount assessed, etc. Then the other recommendation which this committee made was that you pay the royalty and before you transport, and within 3 months, any time that challan, you can still use that challan and you transport. They also ordered very interesting things, that your transport has to have proper stickers which says NGT assessed coal, so that it becomes easy for people at the check gates and all that. So what the miners did, they challenged this order. They immediately challenged this order in the NGT, and sadly you will see how the NGT actually changes its order a little bit, okay? But if from that, the figures which that committee came up with after proper assessment, if you use those figures more and calculate the revenue, that also you'll be able to get exactly how much revenue we're supposed to get. The so-called penalty which is charged under the MMDR Act, which means the government says royalty which comes to us, is 675 rupees per metric ton. Okay, 675 rupees per metric ton, which means that even if you use what they were saying now, that 120 something lakh metric tons, which the coal owners were saying, if you multiply that, the state should have got 816 crores 38 lakhs 77,000 and something in terms of royalty. Now you add to this the restoration fund which got established, that Meghalaya Environment Protection and Restoration Fund. They charge 10% for every for every value of every pit head. The value of every pit head was assessed at 4,850 per metric ton, which means that 10% ne Jongkatuka Restoration Fund is 485 rupees per metric ton. So if you're transporting, you have to pay to the government 675 per metric ton plus 485 per metric ton. So if we calculate all of this, the total revenue which should have been collected by the Meghalaya government, thousands of crores should have come in. So that NGT sadly changed its own order. Initially they said that the royalty shall be charged on the coal declared or assessed, whichever is higher. They changed it to say that we make it clear that the amount of royalty shall be charged on the extracted coal. Now it's become vague. Declared and assessed coal has become extracted coal. Now where does the numbers come from? So then the first, the transportation orders which they got were immediately after April 2014. And after that they kept getting orders, that if you look at it, from April 2014 till now, the number of months of so-called ban is 57. 57 months, 15 days. And the total number of transportation allowed is 32 months, 1 week, 5 days. So if you had a ban of 57 months, how come you had 32 months of transportation? So much coal coming in if there wasn't digging happening. And you'll see that everybody was changing the figures more. Even in the floor of the assembly, 17th March 2015, Mukul Sangma changed the amount, that there's 87,13,103.221 metric ton. Where did he pull out that number? Nobody knows. As per then there was an application filed by Sonny Kriem on 26 February 2015. He says declared coal was 1 crore 4 lakh something. And they kept pulling out different figures and confused the court and willfully misled the courts, the NGT as well as the Supreme Court. And this you can see easily by using the CROFA report of baseline, compare it with again the AG reports. You can actually triangulate and understand what was actually the amount of coal which needed transportation. Then again, just last week they said that's 5 lakh tons. 5 lakh tons. You understand, no? So everybody, and how come government should be having its data? It should be going back to CROFA baseline data.
Yes.
It should be asking from the DMR, asking from the just looking at the mineral transport challans, how much was issued, how much. You can either know from the way bridges or you can know from the issue of the transport challans to understand how much. But no, it's all confused. No? Then Kong Agnes's RTI, 29th May 2018, shows how many transport challans were actually issued. So if you calculate from that transport challan, 7117 mineral transport challans were issued. Now if you multiply that by 9 metric tons, because 9 metric tons per truck, no?
Legally.
Allowed, legally. But it's much more than that. So you can imagine the loss.
20, 25 is.
So even if you go by that, there's only 6,40,000 metric tons. But how come this figure keeps changing and being
And what
inflated?
about now, the latest transportation, is that there's no challan even.
Oh yes. No, that last time the challans from Garo Hills were being used for transportation of Maureen Train.
See, because that 1.76 lakh metric ton, we don't know where it is from. It's not specified how many tons from which part of the district.
Yeah. No, the thing is the CROFA committee actually has district-wise. District-wise, it is already understood where are the things.
No, the Kyrpad committee has that district-wise inventory. But this time, when the NGT gave the permission for 1.76 lakh tons, we don't know exactly where it's lying. Is it actually, sources say that it's all supposed to be in southwest Garo Hills.
Yes.
But the bulk of the coal is going from Jingtih Hills.
There's no coal
West
there.
Khasi Hills.
There's no coal there.
So now actually all our focus is in Jingtih Hills, whereas mining is happening even in West Khasi Hills in full force. So in our report, we also point out, for instance, the PJ Marbanyang death is linked to this again, about him seizing those trucks and not allowing those trucks. But he had to sacrifice his life for this. But this is another interesting thing, The assessment has happened. It had happened immediately after the NGT thing. But on 28th March 2018, new government, Karmanshalla is part of the government, and he gets a new assessment for his brother of the coal. Some person called, what's his name? Shilla. And the DMR issues him challans to transport 30,300 metric tons plus 24,200 metric tons to another person. So two people suddenly get special provisions to get assessment. They get handed over challans. So all this points to the fact that it's not complacency, it's actually active participation and collusion on the part of the government.
How did you get this figure?
This was reported, It was reported by Shillong Times actually. 24th May 2018. We are trying to sort of put this thing together to understand this conspiracy, It's like everybody seems to be involved. And the claims being made that it is for the majority of us in Meghalaya is not true. And it has been an absolute loss, not only in terms of the environment, but even in terms of what we could have gained from a revenue point of view. So the question is it worth it? People have also been attacked, So we have made suggestions to the court that actually coal mining in Meghalaya should just be completely stopped. Because there's an absolute abuse, misuse, misleading of the courts. They undermine the NGT. They have misled the NGT to the extent that they got so many transportation orders. Now on Tuesday they're going to run to the court again to say that they already have been saying that, that Christmas holiday got in the way. Government didn't notify after the 4th December hearing. Government didn't notify till the 10th. Challans were issued 10 days later and all that.
Without names.
But we know that there's a challan scam. They must be having rooms full of challans even, And so we are asking the court to put a stop to mining in Meghalaya. And that there should not be further transportation orders, that there has to be even that coal which supposedly is lying there, government should take over and use it for public undertakings. Your Maumalo cement needs coal to run, use it,
You are asking the Supreme Court or the High Court?
Supreme Court, because that case is there, the Supreme Court. Then we also are reiterating that the CBI inquiry on the attack on Khang Agnes and Amita needs to be done, because as you can see, there's collusion of DMR, of transport, of ministers, of GHADC, of everybody, of the police who are facilitating safe passage for trucks, who are violating NGT orders. So where do citizens turn to, Then we also feel that if at all they don't even stop it, and there has to be continuously this so-called mining, whatever, scientific or whatever way they think we should do it, not just for coal but even other resources, there should be proper computerized systems, of issuing challans, the weighbridges. You geotag your mineral, you also have you tag your trucks. Other states have done it. We are not doing it because we don't want to do it. Because if you have such a systematic system, it's more difficult to loot, no? So even for instance, granting of leases, the clearances, this, that, it should all be online. It should all be transparent, Then we will really know, even other minerals, limestone, your whatever, after a while it'll be sand mining, it'll be everything. But we can't have this kind of system. It's not worth it for the citizens of the state. You can easily do GPS tracking, you can have consistently real-time data from NESAC being, government can ask if they want. Why don't they ask? Because they don't want to know the data. We're also demanding that you have to have a GIS mapping of Meghalaya, because for instance, this grabbing of land and forcefully converting community land into these mining areas and all that, it's happening with collusion of institutions like the district councils, etc. And so
I spoke to some people in Jingtih Hills. They don't even need permission of district council.
Yeah.
They just collude with the Ilaka heads, no?
But we are demanding that all registration of land, has to stop till such time when you can find and show clarity on whose land, what land, how did you acquire, and all that. The NGT has levied the 100 crore fine. We have to be careful that 100 crore is not going out of your pocket and my pocket, because the NGT didn't say that the government has to pay. They said that erring officials and mine owners, that 100 crore has to be realized from each and every miner. Now, each and every one of them have violated the MMDR Act. Each and every one of them have violated the NGT order. Each and every one of them violates the transport thing of 9 metric tons. And those officials, which means DMR, which means your transport, which means your police, which means people manning those check gates, which means